It's now time for Roots News Package with City News, Sports Link, Weather Report, and the City Beat. Rated A. We give you the action with accuracy and authenticity.
City News here on Roots FM 96.1. The news today is brought to you by our parent company, the Mustard Seed Communities, caring for the most vulnerable. Thanking our listeners on the 96.1 FM dial and also persons tuning in via our website at rootsfmjamaica.com. I'm Owen Brown.
I'm Martha Williams.
I'm Dudley Thompson.
Stand by for the news in detail. Welcome back. The private sector organization of Jamaica, PSOJ, is imploring the government to take urgent steps to strengthen regulators in the financial service sector following recent reports of alleged fraudulent activities in local financial institutions. A release on Wednesday, the PSOJ said these activities are of grave concern given the devastating impact that corporate malfeasance can have on all areas of society. It said that it welcomed the remedial steps that are currently being pursued by the impacted institutions and the regulator and oversight bodies. It added that it looks forward to the appropriate disclosure of results from the ongoing investigations. Meanwhile, the PSOJ remains confident in the financial services sector and its players as an avenue for wealth building, their release said. There were more questions than answers at the press briefing called by the Financial Services Commission, FSC, to respond to concerns regarding the multi-million-dollar fraud at the Stocks and Securities Limited, SSL. The executive director of FSC, Everton McFarlane, was pensive and not forthcoming on whether the FSC failed in its regulatory duties. It was noted in a 2017 report from the FSC that SSL was a problem entity, giving back 5.5 years at the time. Other concerns were raised about the organization since, so much so that on at least one occasion the FSC
the license was not suspended.
It wasn't suspended.
No.
But then come 2020, the cease and desist was given.
Over time, there is no reason to presume that the same issues continued from 2017 into 2020.
So just to be clear,
we respond, we monitor entities on a regular basis, and as issues arise, we address those issues as deemed appropriate.
Yes.
Despite the concerns, Mr. McFarlane strongly believes that the FSC is readily equipped to meet its regulatory responsibilities.
To your question is, we do have the capacity legislatively. We allocate our resources in a strategic and risk-based way to ensure that we are able to address the most urgent areas of risk, and the outcomes are effective.
That was Executive Director of the FSC, Everton McFarlane, responding to questions during a media press briefing yesterday. Investigations are now underway at the Knox Community College in Spalding, Clarendon, in an alleged fraud of more than $60 million at the institution. According to reports, it is believed that discrepancies in the books were discovered from as early as December last year. In a release on Wednesday, the school said they recently discovered irregularities involving the falsification of a number of checks issued by the college. The discovery was prompted by a recent call from their bankers seeking to verify 3 checks presented to them on the day. 3 checks with numbers coinciding with ones issued by the college, but apparently altered they reflected the amount to be greater. Subsequent internal checks revealed that other checks item had in fact been paid previously. The release added that the matter has been reported to the Board of Management, their auditors, the Deputy Commissioner of Police, Crime and Security Portfolio, the Ministry of Education and Youth, the Secretary General of the United Church in Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, and as well as their bankers' NCB Fraud Prevention Unit. Reports are that the individual allegedly responsible for the misappropriation has been missing since. Some staff members at the institution have also been sent on leave pending the outcome of the probe. It's believed that the information was only made public because donors and well-placed affiliates of the institution are upset. Minister of Education and Youth Favour Williams has directed the Child Protection and Family Services Agency (CPFSA) to cut ties with Jamaica Relief Ministries (JRM), an entity operating as a children's home in western end of the island, and which has ties with Carl Robanski's headed Embracing Orphans. The directive from Minister Williams follows a damning report from the Office of the Children's Advocate (OCA) of its investigation into questionable happenings at the CPFSA involving the relationship between the Chief Executive Officer CEO of the CPFSA, Rosalie Gage Gray, and Robanski, and the relationship between JRM and Embracing Orphans. Robanski had his teaching license suspended in the United States over his inappropriate interaction with a minor. The OCA's probe found that the operators of Embracing Orphans and JRM are more than just casual acquaintances. And Embracing Orphans operated Father's House, where wards of the states are housed. Meanwhile, following directives, at least one director of the Jamaica Relief Ministries, JRM, has denied that the organization is affiliated with Embracing Orphans, whose head, Carl Robanski, has been flagged in Jamaica and the United States for alleged inappropriate sexual contact with minors. And the curfew that was imposed in sections of Denham Town in Kingston Western Police Division has been extended. The curfew began at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, January 18, and will continue until 6 p.m. on Saturday, January 21. During the hours of the curfew, all persons are required to remain within their premises unless otherwise authorized in writing by the ground commander. Shreveport Operator Group One Voice says public passenger vehicle operators have been given a false sense of security by the government as they attempt to clear billions of dollars in outstanding traffic tickets. The operators have until January 31 to clear outstanding traffic tickets before the new Road Traffic Act takes effect on February 1. Operators have been scrambling to pay off the outstanding amounts before the deadline. Lorraine Finnegan, head of One Voice, says there continues to be a disconnect between what the government is saying and the realities in the court.
Been making every effort to go in and pay, and when we go in, we're not getting any court date. And also, what the government has been telling us, that pay and your license will be expunged. We have over 50 drivers that come in and pay the entire fine and still lose their license. We are told that the tickets before 2018 are going to be expunged. And what is happening now is that the police are still taking in our operators on old ticket. So what is happening in Parliament and in Cabinet is far different thing is happening at the court. Because whenever the minister gives us an announcement, we take it as gospel, move to the court. When we go to the court, we lose our license, we are charged triple time the fine, and those who can't pay are sent to prison.
Mr. Finnegan called for measures to be put in place to better facilitate the drivers as they seek to clear up outstanding traffic tickets. And for news further afield, the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party, ABLP, has won the country's general election. Gaston Brown, who retained a St. John's City West seat, will be sworn in as Prime Minister for a third consecutive time later today, which has also been declared a national holiday. For international stories, we join Jeffrey Tavares.
Human activities cause rising temperatures around the world.
New research finds human activity has temperatures in Greenland to rise far beyond levels seen in the 20th century. The study in the journal Nature found that without immediate action to stop global heating, Greenland's melting glaciers will raise sea levels by 20 inches by the end of the century, flooding coastal communities around the world. Researchers studying ice cores found that the decade spanning 2001 to 2011 was the warmest for Greenland's ice sheet in 1,000 years. Temperatures in some parts of Greenland now average 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Secretary Generals condemn fossil fuel executives for deliberately misleading the public about the threat posed by their products. Antonio Guterres made the remarks in an address to the World Economic Forum in Davos Wednesday after a new study found Exxon was aware of the link between fossil fuel emissions and global heating as early.
I am Jeffrey Tavares for Roots FM News.
And those are the stories making City News. Stand by for the weather report with Marcy Williams.
Good afternoon. This is the weather report, and I'm Marcia Williams. There's a high pressure region across the northern Caribbean. The system is expected to remain across the region for the next several days. This afternoon will be partly cloudy and mainly across the areas and southern and southwestern parishes. Tonight will become fair. The maximum temperature in Kingston today is 31 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow will be mainly sunny in the morning and partly cloudy in the afternoon, and also windy along the south coast. And regionally, there's a cold front across the northwestern Gulf of Mexico. And that was the weather report. Please stand by for a sports link with Dudley Thompson.
It is now time for Sports Link on Roots 96.1 FM.
Hello there, sports fans. I'm Dudley Thompson, and welcome to Sports Link. And we start with news on football. National senior football team coach Helmgrimson is planning to put more focus on building a solid defense as a foundation on which Jamaican football philosophy will be built, as he aims to take the team to the World Cup in 2026. Hal Grimson took charge of the second session of local Bay 22-man squad in training. The Icelandic says he will try to make Jamaica very difficult to break down, a pattern that he said worked for football developing nations. Hal Grimson says he's aware of Jamaica's love for play football at flair, and sure he will know the philosophy and style he wants to implement. He will not be moving away from the style he had inherited. The squad call for the session has been built on 17-year-old Kingston College Dujan Whisper Richards. The squad is a number of players currently playing in the National Premier League and also the Eastern Schoolboy football competition thus concluded. The next next competitive game will be against Mexico in the CONCACAF Nations League in March, and Hill Grimson is confident that the team will be ready for the face the regional giants in the Azteca Stadium like Mexico. Hal Grimson took his native Iceland to the quarterfinals of the Euro 2016 and also coached Qatar before taking the reins of Jamaica's national team. Track and field. Alpha High School expressed appreciation for the Express Canteen service for sponsorship of a sports program. Express supporting support for traditional high school girls. The institution formalized the $250,000 check handover to the ceremony at the company CEO Ryan Foster, the principal of Mrs. Callie Morris on Tuesday. noting that the long-standing benefits of sports, Ms. Morrison reason that develop the nature of express contribution. Sprinter Omoy Ketish, who has been in the track team since first form, now in fifth form, competes in 100 meters hurdles, 200 meters, and the sprint relay, is commenting that the Express Canteen support for Ketish say it can go a far way on behalf of the team, and they're very grateful because since they have started their track season, they have been one track meet, 3 basics, that most of the team members have track and field gears. Quickly on cricket, West Indies captain Craig Brathwaite is hoping the team batting will improve on the tour of Zimbabwe. They will play Zimbabwe in 2 test series with the first set to bowl off on February 4. Both test matches will be played in the Queen's Park Club in Bulawayo, with the first test returning from February 4 to 8. The second test will be run from February 12 until 16. Brathwaite said given what happened in Australia last year, the team main concern. And on that note, we come now to the end of Sports Link for today.
Sports Link, 6.1 FM.
And for a recap of our top stories, the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, PSOJ, is imploring the government to take urgent steps to strengthen regulators in the financial sector following recent reports of alleged fraudulent activities involving some local financial institutions. Investigations are now underway at the Knox Community College in Spalding, Clarendon, into an alleged fraud of more than $60 million at the institution. And Minister of Education and Youth, Favour Williams, has directed the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, to cut ties with Jamaica Relief Ministries, JRM, an entity operating a children's home in western end of the island, and which has ties with Karl Rabansky, who heads Embracing Orphans. The news today was brought to you by our parent company, the Mustard Seed Communities, caring for the most vulnerable. Thanking our listeners on the 96.1 FM dial, and also persons tuning in via our website and also on our social media platforms. I am Owen Brown.
I am Marcia Williams.
And I'm Dudley Thompson.
On behalf of the entire hardworking team here at Roots FM 96.1 FM, have a wonderful afternoon. Stand by for the beat.